Hello, everyone. Hi, Candice. Can you
Hi, I can. Can you hear me? Let me get my camera on. Give me 2 seconds. There we go.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this. We'll get started in about 5 minutes.
Hey, no problem at all. I love your couch background.
Oh, thank you. Impress you.
Yes, it looks like a full stage. I feel like you need to have guests there.
Yeah, it's just my living room.
You need to have, do you have any pets?
I have a cat.
You need to get the cat to sit beside you.
Want to see her?
I do actually. I love cats.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, that's the cutest cat ever. Oh, she looks like a kitten.
Yeah, she's 3 months old. We just got her for in the winter.
What's her name?
Oreo.
Oreo. Oh, she's stunning. Where'd you guys get her from?
From home.
Oh, she's absolutely beautiful. She is a gorgeous kitty cat.
Yeah, she's great, and she's loving it because we get to stay home and spend more time with her.
Yeah, I can see. She loves the couch. Look at this. It's exactly where she should be.
Yes.
Would you ever get her a friend, do you think?
I want to, but I.
Yeah, totally understood.
Yeah, having a pet is a lot of work, especially when you want to give them, attention and everything.
Yep.
So we'll start in 3 minutes.
Yeah, no problem at all.
How's your day going, Candice?
Oh, busy, but it's been good. And I just got off of, we were doing a Reiki healing sort of session that we were talking about. So it was interesting kind of to learn different stuff. At Soul Well Collective, we were doing that. So that was kind of interesting. And the good thing for you is that a lot of our members are still talking about how their backs are hurting from sitting on chairs. So we keep saying to them, we have a solution coming in. Her name is Kelly.
I mean, we just sit all day long, right? And even though we don't have to drive, at home, we're just constantly sitting and we're in this position because we're typing.
Yeah, it's funny and you don't realize it, but especially now with everything, we're just sitting more and more.
Exactly. And we see how we have some guests. Dara, hi. Thank you so much for joining us. And Barry, hope you guys are having a fantastic night. Thank you so much for being here. It's going to be super informative. Awesome. Great. And if you guys have any questions, feel free just to post it in the chat box so we're able to answer them right away. Awesome. How's your day going, Candice?
Good. Woke up in the morning, got some stuff done, and been on calls all day. Everyone has questions about everything. Everyone is actually looking to get pre-qualified for mortgages, so it's having a big effect on the market now. And just kind of finished getting off calls, which is nice. But it's all funny now because my calls before is coffee chat, and now they're these Zoom chats. So it's interesting dynamic how everything's kind of moving that way.
How do you like it? I mean, being at home,
I love being there, I don't care what it is. I love being in the environment. I love being the face to face, but obviously what I'm happy about is business can still continue. We can still move forward. So that's important that way. How's your day been?
It's great. I'm just trying to keep busy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard week. We're supposing, flattening the curve, but I don't know what's going on. And I think April is a really critical month. And we got to stay home, and then we, help the government and do our due diligence so we're able to get through this as soon as we can.
Mm-hmm. I think it's very important.
Awesome. So we'll start in a minute. See
1 minute.
Oh my goodness. Can't wait to hear your tips and tricks in getting out of houses.
Hopefully it'll be informative for everybody. I know it's the thing that everyone's calling about and questioning about. So it's, I think it's important to discuss.
Yes. Awesome. Great. Yep. All right, we'll start in a minute. As I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to post in the chat box. And we'll just first start with a quick introduction with Candice. I actually met Candice through a really, really cool group. It's called the Soul Wellness Collective. It's a group of women that comes together and share whatever they want about their lives because, you know, we're super stressed out most of the time. We want to have a group where we can vent to each other, and that's how we met each other, and actually through a network meeting. And Candice also happens to be a real estate representative, and I thought, oh my God, what is a better chance to talk about that during this time where there's so many things happening in the housing market. We don't know what's going on. We don't know when we can buy, when we can sell houses. And I just wanted to bring her up here to share some tips and tricks to get you guys ahead of the game. So Candice, how long have you been in this industry?
Oh my gosh, I feel like it's been forever. And it's so funny that you mentioned how we met because, yeah, we met through So Well Collective, which is an organization that I started with my co-founder. And it is about bringing women together to learn and share and kind of following all pillars. And one big pillar is self-development, finance, and sort of investment, which is something that I'm a big proprietor of. So in terms of real estate, the thing that got me into being a real estate agent was when I was looking to buy several years ago, my first unit, that's now my first rental. I was working in technology at the time. I was working 70, 80 hours a week, a lot of hard work. And I had an agent who took me in to look at something, and she was much more concerned with things like, we can place the couch here, and this is a nice place for a bed. And me, I'm a data girl. So I was always asking her, well, tell me about the area. What's the ROI year over year? What can I look forward to if I try to sell this place in a couple of years? What would it be like if I'm trying to rent it? And she always kept saying, oh, we'll get that later. We'll get that later. Well, I want that now. And that made me very frustrated. So I ended up saying, okay, looks like I have something else to do. So I did a lot of homework, connected with a lot of developers, really kind of took it to myself to learn about the market. You can read all about that if anyone's ever interested in my ebook. And I ended up buying my first property on my own for sale by owner. And I remember seeing it online, going up to the owner's place, knocked on her door. I walked in and I knew immediately because I had done my research and because I was prepared. And I said to her, listen, I'm sure a lot of real estate agents are coming here trying to sell you a lot of stuff and tell you they have a client that can make an offer here and there. Here's what I'm willing to do. I'll give you this price. I have a lawyer that's ready to go and I can close any day that you want. What do you think? And she said, I like the way you deal and I like who you are as a person. And I think you'll fit with this unit and this community because my best friends are here and I want someone to be here that they can actually get along with. Her parents had also upgraded the unit and made a lot of great builds since when she had bought it. She was the second owner. So I was very blessed that I came into a unit that was already made up, had new upgrades and everything in it. And that's kind of how I got started. And then a lot of my friends kept asking me, you know, hey, my agent's telling me this. What do you think? And I said, try it this way. Do this. Tell your agent to do this. Till finally everyone kept saying to me, can you get your license already? Like, really? And I went, okay, let me try. What's the worst that'll happen? I'll help friends and sell one house and that'll be it. But it hasn't been like that. It's been growing since then. The biggest question I always get asked now is, are you still selling? Yes, we are. I just closed a house last week. I have another one coming up and I have a listing coming up. So the market is still moving forward. I don't want anyone to think that it's completely stopped with the fear and the panic. It is different, absolutely, than what it was, say, even 2-3 months ago, obviously. So many changes have been taking place, but it is still moving forward. And I always tell people this is a time where if we can all just look at it like an opportunity, there's opportunities to prepare, there's opportunities to invest. This too shall pass. Historically, real estate has always been known as the best investment vehicle year over year, getting great returns if you can buy and hold. So it's got kind of great history behind it. And that's kind of where I kind of started and why I love what I do in helping people.
That's amazing, Candice. And for some people that are joining us right now, hi, Tony. Thank you so much for being on our webinar tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun. And I'm going to be your host tonight. I'm actually a chiropractor located in the downtown Toronto area where ChiroPath Spine Posture Centre. And the reason we're hosting this, you might be thinking, what does a chiropractor know about the real estate? Guess what? I don't know anything about it. That's exactly why we're doing this, because I know, in fact, that if you're stressed out about anything, that's not good for your health. And I know if you're stressed about buying a house or selling a house, that's not good for your health. And that's exactly why we're doing this today. So if you want more information about what we do, we have a Facebook community. We're also doing a giveaway just because you're here today. I will send more information about that through an email. But I want to start our webinar today with just some general information about what the heck is going on right now. You know, we see in the news, people are saying, oh my goodness, the housing market is not going anywhere. Is it going from a seller's market to a buyer's market? You know, are we taking advantage of the lower prime rate? So what is going on? So Candice, can you give us a quick introduction about the month of April in 2020 and what is happening to the housing market?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to keep this focused on what's happening exactly around coronavirus. If anyone wants to know anything further in terms of actual stats data, you can sign up to my e-newsletter list because I always send an e-newsletter out with all that information. We've always had a very strong seller's market in the last few years, particularly these last 2 months from January to February to early March, very early, right before all this happened. It was still a very strong seller's market. I am boots on the ground agent. I am out there full time, day after day, born and raised Toronto. So what we're seeing is in the downtown core, still a heavy focus, still heavy bidding wars, coming up against 15, 20 offers on a property if it's a very hot property. As soon as the coronavirus kind of hit, I was actually on that day getting ready to go to a showing when we actually got the word that said, everyone, slow down, everyone, we're done, non-essential services. And what actually happened from that is a lot of people have been pulling their listings off the market. We're actually seeing a 5% drop from last year to this year in terms of showings. And now we have completely outlawed, no, you can't do any open houses. So that's what's going on. Now, has it turned from a strong seller's market into a strong buyer's market? I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to say no. Can you get a deal? I'm going to say be very cautious of your term deal. What I do see that is happening for my buyers particularly is I have a lot of buyers that are coming out of the woodwork now that are contacting me for buyer consults and getting pre-qualified with my mortgage brokers for a couple of reasons. Number one, interest rates, as you mentioned, Kelly, are they down? If you have a job that you work in technology, office management, something where you can actually work from home, you are not affected by this. Therefore, the interest rate for you can actually be very, very good. So we're seeing interest rates between 2.4 to about 2.54, depending. I actually have a client right now. If you work with myself and some of my team, I have a client right now that we're working with a fantastic broker I use. And my client is in a very good position, but he's able to get a mortgage rate that's actually lower than 2%. We're just getting ready to close on a property for him. So we are seeing a difference in the interest rates. That's not to say that they're completely getting slashed completely. And the reason I'm going to say that is because the market is so volatile and because they're estimating 3% of the workforce is currently or will be laid off, that's going to affect the interest rate as well. Therefore, the government is concerned about extending further debt to those individuals that aren't going to be able to harness it when they do purchase a property. So that's the difference in terms of can I, get that great mortgage rate and versus going in. Now, in terms of getting a deal, inventory is traditionally low. It always has been low. It's been low for very many years. But obviously when the crisis really hit, and when I saw it hit, I'm going to say it really hit kind of second week of March was when I noticed a lot of my individuals being affected and myself in terms of what we're showing and listing. People started pulling back. There's less listings on the market. So if you are putting a listing on the market, you're doing it for a couple of reasons. Number one, there aren't a lot of listings on the market. So if you do put something out on the market now and there are buyers that are ready to go, and trust me, I have clients that are actually still putting bank deposits, have to go to the bank to actually put their deposit on their property. The banks are full of people doing this. So there's people out there. We're finding that those people who are still qualified are going to find ways to see these properties. Number two, we're noticing that just the way that properties being viewed are shifted. So for example, I sold a property completely done by video tour. We're getting very technologically savvy, which I think is extremely important. Myself coming from a tech background, I utilize all these tools. So what's happening now is a lot of the sellers are putting very strong virtual packages online, which I absolutely love, because what's it doing? It's making sure that you as a buyer can actually look at a property effectively and not get thrown off by pictures. Because I can't tell you how many times, Kelly, I walk in and we look at a property and my clients go, this doesn't look like the photos. And I say, yeah, yeah, you're right. This looks nothing like the photos. So it's good now that we're getting that. And then particularly from that client that we had bought through video, we actually were able to do a live version video with the seller and the seller's client, where they actually took us around the unit in real time. So we could check things for ourselves and obviously have a home inspection. So we can do those type of things. Now, in terms of what else we're seeing kind of out there in general, again, yes, people are scared. People are not really sure what to do. So some people are holding back. If you are a seller and you're thinking about selling at this time, I caution you, if you don't have to, might be good just to hold it back to wait till we have a stronger market. We are getting some opportunities. So what I will tell you by opportunities is I have a lot of investors that also work with me. We have been seeing properties go under asking. Which has been unheard of for a very, very long time. So it's not becoming a complete buyer's market, because I'm still going up against maybe one other bid, but it's completely making things a little more level and allowing buyers to actually get into the market, when before the issue was they couldn't even get in. So we're seeing a little bit of difference that way. I always tell people that this is a blip. I want everyone to recognize this too shall pass. If we've looked at the history of what's been happening in terms of the world, I study, kind of the stock market, I study the recessions, all the things that have gone on. And we've only had two real periods when real estate took a dip. It never takes a dive, it takes a dip. It always ends up coming back a lot stronger. It's just being able to kind of hold it for that. So that's sort of the general overview.
I see. So, as any buyer, they want to take advantage of anything they can to make sure they get the best deal, right? I've heard stories that right now it's actually easier to get approved in terms of mortgages. Is that true, or is that not true?
I think it depends on your situation. Obviously, if you're somebody that is carrying high debt loads and you are also in the demographic where your job could either be susceptible to being laid off in the next little while, I don't think you're going to have strong buying power to purchase a property for mortgages. However, I have noted that a lot of my clients who've contacted me and said, hey, I'm kind of scared to get in the market. I don't know. What do you think I should do? And I'm like, well, try first by talking with my mortgage broker, getting pre-qualified. They're actually finding better rate and they're getting pre-qualified for more. So it's very dependent on what your situation is. Again, technology, office worker, anytime you're in any of these professions that you work from home or you have a very strong sort of portfolio or company that you work with where there's a lesser chance of you actually being laid off because of the situation, yes, you do have stronger power now in order to get into either gain more in terms of access to funds so you can buy something maybe a little bit better or interest rate, be able to negotiate that.
I see. And the government has came up plans to help people with their mortgage payment. Is it easy to apply for that mortgage deferral program? Do you have
So it is a case by case basis, and I want everyone to be very cautious of that. So I myself am a landlord. I'm very blessed my tenant paid his rent, but I deal with a lot of property management for my clients, and there's been a lot of tenants that have come out. There's a situation going on now in Toronto where tenants are actually striking and using this as an opportunity to not pay rent, and those individuals are going to their lenders to ask them for the relief of not having to pay mortgages. Now, it doesn't always work for investment properties. They're going to look first at the resident or at the main principal property that you actually own. So if you have 5 properties, 1 that you live in and 4 that you're renting out, and you want mortgage deferral on all the rental properties, you might have a hard time actually getting for it. Their main focus, the government's main focus as of right now, is to focus on those that aren't able to provide for their principal residence. So just be aware of that when you're sort of thinking about if you should kind of apply for it. What I always suggest to people is call your lender, make your case. It's a case by case basis.
I see. And you mentioned that if you're a seller, maybe it's a time not to enter the market because you're actually seeing a few cases where they are, the price is not as ideal as it should be. How long do you expect that to last? Or what if you're in urgent need to sell your house? Would the process of getting selling a house easier now in terms of how long is it going to take, or is that still going to be the traditional how many weeks it takes?
So obviously nobody has a crystal ball. We're all taking this day by day. Traditionally, what we used to see before the pandemic hit is properties actually would be on the market less than 1 day, day zero. I had it with clients where we would see a property day zero and I'm like, we got to make an offer. That's how we're going to get this. Now with everything that's going on, some properties are lingering on the market a little bit longer. I have clients that were actually tailing properties and seeing if they're going to stay a little long and we can have an opportunity. So in terms of a seller, I have been in the multitude of positions with buyers and sellers in the past week. So for example, I had a situation with a buyer where the seller had to sell. She had bought something already and she absolutely had to sell that property. And we were able to get it for slightly under what it was supposed to be, a couple thousand, but we had to increase our closing date, meaning we had to close faster. So we had to close in a 30 days, so we had to negotiate that. So we are seeing that. I had a seller that wanted to put their property up in the sense that they said, hey, listen, I would like to move here, but obviously if the market doesn't lean for it, then I'm willing to hold on to it. And we were surprised at the kind of reaction that we're getting. So people are still out looking. We, in terms of real estate professionals, have been taking this very seriously. We don't do open houses anymore. We will do showings, but the showings have to be very carefully done. I know for myself, I mask up, I have gloves for my client, I have hand sanitizer. I don't let my clients actually touch anything in the home. I'm the one that opens up closets and doors and checks everything while they go around, maintain our distancing apart. Sometimes they'll go in first, I'll do a round after when they leave. So we're very cautious on the seller's end. We're very cautious on the seller's end that somebody is actually at the home to make sure that somebody coming in is, you know, maintaining regular kind of, I would say, sanitation practices to make sure that nobody in the home is jeopardized, especially if they have kids. So the situation is, I recommend this if you are a seller and you're thinking about selling. It really depends on what area of Toronto you're at. Some areas are a lot hotter, obviously downtown Market. We still have a huge demand for it. And it also depends on your particular unit. It's a really nice unit. You've been upkeeping it really well. You might have a really good pile of buyers. If you're not really sure what to do in terms of a seller, I say it might be good to just kind of hold back and discuss. I'm having a lot of consultations now, Zoom consultations and online consultations with buyers and sellers who just want to pitch their particular situation and say, this is what I'm going through right now. What do you think? Because each situation is different and we really got to weigh out the pros and cons to what will make sense for somebody.
And obviously this COVID-19 situation is definitely going to end, right?
Yes. So, yes. I want to tell you this too shall pass. It is going to end. So what we're all predicting in the real estate market is, while this was supposed to be a strong spring summer market, we're saying it's going to be delayed. So the idea is we're going to delay. Now, some people say June, July. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I also work with pre-builds and VIP pricing there. In terms of following that market structure as well with resales, I'm thinking that we're going to start getting back up to snuff September, October-ish is sort of the timeline that we're seeing just when we look at the stats and everything. Doesn't mean that you're not going to be buying and selling, because people have to buy, people have to move, but it just means that in looking at when things are going to come back to normal, October, September. And then you got to remember something I tell people: jobs are going to come back. We are a very strong economy in terms of us being in Canada. We are blessed that we have a very strong economy that way. So everything is temporary right now. Once people get their jobs back, once the economy starts to recover, we're going to start seeing everyone kind of work as business as usual. So yes, Kelly, it is going to end, and we all just have to relax, close our eyes, and come to you for some adjustments because we're all stressed out.
Right. And Candice, so if we're a buyer and we really want to, stay ahead of the game, when is a good time just to make sure that we're super active about this? Is August a good time just to be active on the market, keep searching? Because I know you said September, we're going to see a huge shift in seller's market again. When will be a good time just to make sure that, we're on top of what we're doing?
So I always say the best time to buy is when you're ready. And I say now. So if you are ready and you've already sort of been thinking about it and you were just like, I'm not really sure if I want to jump in, have a consultation with a real estate agent that you really trust. Because like I said, for my buyers, I've been seeing some great opportunities that we've been able to sort of see something that makes sense for them. The other thing too is this is a great time to get educated up, because even if you're just starting and you're not really sure, it's a great time to just look, we're all at home anyways. call a mortgage broker, call your bank, learn how the process works, get educated, because it's all about being ready and primed. What do they say? That being lucky is opportunity plus time, you know? So I had it with, and I've seen it so often with my buyers almost all the time, that all of a sudden we just see the right unit and we're able to pounce. So I would say now can be a really great market just to sort of, if you're not too picky and you want to sort of see if there's something you get for, you know, maybe less of what it'll be, because come September, October, when we get back into the string of things, bidding wars are going to be back up. We're going to start seeing the same sort of situation that we've been seeing. So this is that little sort of breath that you may have an opportunity. But my biggest thing is, I always say, nobody's situation is cookie cutter. It's not one size fits all. Everyone has very different needs and wants. So make sure you consult with somebody you trust to really get the information.
Awesome. And I'm just curious, Candice, are you selling more condos or houses nowadays?
So in all honesty, it's condos. Condos traditionally have been growing just in terms of the segment of what people are buying year over year. And I'll tell you for a couple reasons why. Number one, condos have a great appreciation rate. In downtown Toronto, we're actually seeing some condos appreciate year over year 14%. That means it's growing from one year to the other. In terms of condos, easily liquid, right? We can get somebody in there. We can get somebody to rent it out. It's very fast. Now, the biggest thing that has an effect on this, supply and demand. We are a world-class city in terms of Toronto. We have immigration coming. People want to come here. People want to study here. People want to work here. The other thing is, and I'm sure that, you know, Kelly, and I'm not sure how many other people know, but we are a huge technology destination. Google is here, Amazon, there are another Google buildings coming in. So the fact that we have these two sort of powerhouses coming together, what does that mean? It means people are flocking here, and it means we still have low inventory. There is still a housing crisis. It's still very tough for people to actually find something. There's housing shortages. So if you buy a condo, you know, it's easy for you to get in, liquid for you to get out, less amount of risk. Now, in terms of a house, if you can afford a house in Toronto, I say do it, because the biggest thing about houses is we're not building any more land, right? So if you have a house, that's going to go up exponentially, because those that want houses will pay that premium property kind of money amount for it. But the issue that we're having with houses at the moment, not all inspectors, but some home inspectors like Carson Dunlop is actually holding back on inspections because it's very intrusive into a home. So with a house, you always need to get a housing inspection done. I don't care if the seller has one on their own. You have to bring in somebody that, I know with me, I have a network of guys. You want to bring in somebody that actually can go in and check, because particularly as we get to the older a home is, more problems can show up. And the biggest thing you have to know about housing is, you know, I always say it's home ownership, it's home investment. So buying a home, you have to take care of it. You're going to have to take care of the electrical. You're going to have to take care of the plumbing. You have to know what will go wrong with it, because it's not going to be 100% perfect all the time. And so you can keep back funds and invest in that house. And if I always say with houses, and even with condos, the idea is if you take care of your investment, it will take care of you later on.
Awesome. And I'm seeing some questions in the chat area. And guys, if you have any questions, Candice is open book, and she's more than willing to answer any of your questions. And I don't know, Candice, if you're in the commercial real estate at all, but as business owners, how is the commercial real estate market getting affected by COVID-19, if at all?
Yeah, so I don't specialize in commercial. I always say I'm up at 4 a.m. and I sleep at 12 just working on residential. I wouldn't even be able to learn about commercial and do it well, but I have a lot of great contacts that do, and I'm always wanting to have my ear to the ground for knowledge. So commercial, interesting. Leases within Toronto, we're actually seeing a little bit of a break on them. So just to get you in, they're actually offering a little bit of a price break. That's actually also happening with some residential leases as well. In terms of future-wise prediction, funny enough, if you're kind of a commercial owner, I have some that I work with in terms of them buying property units in terms of the residential for pre-builds that go up. Why? Because if you own a property in an actual pre-build unit and there's commercial spaces down below, you actually might have more access to that commercial space. So that's what we're kind of seeing, but just over across the board, just in terms of any leasing, there is actually some sort of cutback that is happening in terms of pricing to be able to get people in.
Wow. And you mentioned that there's a little bit of break on residential leasing as well. Could you expand on that?
Yes. So the biggest issue that's happening right now with residential, obviously, is if you're a landlord and you don't have a tenant in there, before, what we were actually seeing is leasing, just dealing with it for my landlords, is I used to get 20 offers on a place. There was actually bidding wars happening for leases where people would be offering more money, better terms, money up front. And it was happening, but now with everything that's happening, a lot of people who are in their places are either staying put. We are seeing people who are, adult kids moving back home, either to take care of aging parents, just to make sure that they can get through this pandemic safely, or just in terms of improving their own financial situation. So that being said, landlords are very itchy. So there's now actually opportunity to get in on some places to lease cheaper than you might have gotten in, say, even 2 months ago. So if you are somebody looking to lease, do it safely, because remember, you're still going to have to be out there moving. Moving companies, just as a side note, they are considered an essential service as of this recording. As we're talking right now, things can change day to day, but there's moving companies are still moving, and condos and places are still allowing you to move in your place, obviously with restrictions. But the idea is that if you are somebody looking to lease, it might actually be really good for you to sort of at least take a gander virtually, even to discuss and see what's out there, because again, when we sort of recover from everything, it's going to be the same sort of market that it was.
And see, we have 9 minutes left for a meeting. I have one last question. If you have any questions, please feel free to post in the chat box. But you mentioned about video touring. Can you give us a little more detail about that? And if we're actually booking a video touring, what are some of the things we should look for?
Yes. So I will talk about a current example. I have a listing that's coming up, and I'm working through this with a client right now. So what we're actually doing is two things. We're having the client, if they have a really good phone, they actually can do it themselves, or I have individuals that safely can come in and do it. They're taking a video of the tour that's then being stitched together to have a 3D overview of the unit. So when you actually see this, and the listing agent can provide this to your agent, your buyer agent, you'll be able to see what the property actually looks like from all angles. So it's almost like Google Maps, when you click on it and it zooms forward, and you click on another spot and it zooms forward. The other thing that we're actually having in replacement of open houses is we're actually having live video tours, where an agent will actually take somebody through the property, or we'll say, kind of like the Zoom meeting, at 2 p.m. we're doing a showing of the place. They will take you through the property and you can ask your questions. Now, things you're going to want to look for is, obviously it's different for everybody, but you want to come in and you want to make sure that the layout is something pleasing to you. View is something that you want. Obviously lake view you're going to have to pay for, but you want to have some view properly versus having no view at all and either facing a brick wall or something that's kind of unpleasant that way. My big thing is I look at everything for my clients. I'm the one that's on the floor, making sure that the floors look level. I test faucets, I flush toilets, I run dryers, I check up by the roof just to see if there's any sort of brown spots or anything that I can note as possibly being leakage of any kind. So you're going to want to kind of go through this. My best advice for you though is do work with an agent that is experienced, trusted, that can go with you around that to make sure that you have somebody doing it. Because on your own, not saying that you can't, but if you miss something, again, I've made a ton of these mistakes already by myself. It can be very costly.
That's awesome. And guys, if you have any questions about the real estate market, Candice is a great resource. I'll give you guys her information and follow-up email. And Candice, is there a specific region that you service?
No, I am actually located in all of Toronto. I'm more familiar with the downtown market just because a lot of my investors, but Mimico has been growing tremendously. I've got clients there. Markham and Scarborough, Unionville is always great that I'm getting. In terms of going out towards, say, Mississauga, I have knowledge and experience there, but just I have agents that are actually much better in that area. So what I do is I team with them and we actually do the work together to make sure that somebody gets the value of an agent that actually services that area, but they get my specialty in terms of being able to negotiate a proper deal.
That's great. And guys, just to wrap today up, even the COVID-19 is a very, very difficult time. It's a sad time. However, we got to make sure that we take anything to our hands as opportunity, right? And if you're on the fence of purchasing a house or selling a house, maybe it's a good time to see, because any change is good. We want change. We don't want things just to be constantly the same. Where Toronto is so hard to get a house. So maybe this is your chance. As I said, Candice is a great person to talk to. And as ChiroPath, we're actually hosting another webinar talking more about spine health and how to take care of your spine and not mess it up during these days we're always sitting at home. So we'll be announcing that on our ChiroPath community. And we're also doing a giveaway today because you're here. It's a $50 Amazon card, and I'll be posting more information about that in an upcoming email. Candice, do you have anything else to add?
No, that's great. Kelly, I want to thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. I think it's very important just to keep everybody educated, know what's going on. So thank you for providing this platform.
Of course, and I hope this webinar is useful. It takes your mind off of this crazy, hectic time a little bit. You get to relax, take a deep breath, and then just let it all out. Exactly. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night and stay safe and healthy. Bye, guys. Bye, Candice.
Bye, guys.